I would like to take this opportunity to set a few rumours straight. It has been said that I have become self-indulged in the literary works of Gerald Higgins and his nightly awakenings, that I had indeed stolen his story from a man who once existed, that indeed it has been said that Gerald Higgins did exist, and maybe not in that name. Some others, which apparently I am concealing, some say that the first night is the actual story of the real-life Gerald Higgins, and the rest of the tale I wove around the truth. But the reasoning for me not mentioning the truth of the matter is I am afraid that what happened to Gerald would fall upon me and mankind likewise, that a pact or a curse is sealed upon revealing too much. It has been said by some that the tale did indeed happen long ago, and this perhaps is why I chose to use old words, such as whence, to indicate a clue for those looking. Some say that the true tale ends with Gerald Higgins being put into jail, and that I invented the escape and the domination of evil upon the earth. Although some say this indeed did happen long ago on a small island somewhere remote, or perhaps during the First or Second World Wars, some say that the doctor in the tale is indeed me, and I have confessed what I knew. Some say that I have stolen the notes the doctor took, or that I found his diary or that of Gerald's from a nearby hospital or from a junk sale, and this is where the tale has come. Some, on a more comical note, have questioned the pact part where Gerald was being chased on the Bakerloo line by creatures and tried to enlist the help of a wino. This has caused great hilarity on my part, thinking that mankind had been savaged and he needed someone to fight the creatures of the dead, and chose to pick a wino straddled across the floor, unable even to pick himself up, let alone fight the beast. Although some have said this was a metaphor for mankind's general state and a social-political statement was being made, tying in with the part where the Prime Minister committed suicide and died a coward's death. Also, comically speaking, some brought forward the darling line that the black-hooded man spoke when revealing that he had surgically removed the soul of Gerald Higgins, whilst comforting him as his dead wife, or should I say within the skin of his dead wife, as well as the moment when the black-hooded man rips the kidney out of Gerald's chest and Gerald muses over which internal organ had been removed. Back onto the mystical nature of the tale. Some have noticed that on reading the first installment of Gerald Higgins' Night Awakens, they noted that it was apart from my normal work, that it was somehow devoid of my usual grammar or spelling mistakes, that I was either unwillingly being guided by a dead writer, of which that of Edgar Allan Poe was forementioned, or that I was being controlled by the dead to write this tale. Possibly even the spirit of a long-dead Higgins. And whilst I totally deny this spiritual hogwash, I do insist that when I wrote the first installment, I did seem overcome by it. The words just poured out natural and without effort, and I was, as I have been on occasion, able to look away from where I typed, and the work continued itself. What I mean to say is no concentration was needed. The tale told itself through my hands. The tale itself was one of many layers, and some have pointed at this, that the tale was some lurid dream that came about me, which in part is also not true. For indeed the tale relies on dreams, and the layers are that of the tale of truth, in the eyes of Gerald Higgins, as borne out by the last few parts, and the tale that he imagined is all borne out by the ending in the cell. Some have also said that since writing these words, I might have left whichever location I was at, fearing the haunting of some kind. And some have said that whilst writing the first part, or some of the first three, that I did indeed feel that there were invisible creatures, ghosts, spirits about me, and that this spooked me, of which I can say the latter is partly true. But I would add that the invisible is only that, and the mind can play all sorts of tricks, and one mind heavily charged with ideas can indeed have this type of strange occurrences which have long since dissipated. Some have said I have grown quite mad by this tale, that maybe I have been taken over by Higgins or am the man himself, suggesting I have sat late at night unable to sleep, breaking bits of my wall down to find the entrance to the underworld. Some have even said that I am the black-hooded man, and have made mention of my raincoat that indeed does have a large black hood that in the rain I wear. But I can assure you, I am not the leader of the dead, and I have no such inclination to do so. Some have said that I have left parts of the tale out that I have in my possession, saying that I fear them being released, or that some day I will release them. For what reason I do not know, and cannot fathom these trains of thought. Some have said I toned down or changed part of the original tale for some reason or other, fearing retribution from the dead that might come to haunt me, but I tell you I have no such possession. Some have alluded to the fact that I have become to look like the description described in the third or fourth installment, where Gerald stopped eating and stopped shaving and became thin and worn, and that I am suffering from such a malady. This is yet another point I must deny, as my eating and sleeping habits have not changed and continue as they always have. I can say that some parts of the tale were borrowed from real life, in so much so that, and this is by no means any kind of admission to anything greater than what I am about to say, they happened, such as my ailment of muscular problems, were placed in the form of Gerald's constant heart pain references, that the use of the cat whining which I heard outside my window was indeed a horrendous noise, getting me out of bed to look for it, and then adding it to the tale later on, and so forth, but nothing more than that. While some have claimed that so engrossed in this tale I have become I've become on occasion outside myself as Gerald Higgins, which I have done, this is purely accidental, and not, as some might see, an indication that I am hiding some great secret, or that I am in fact he. Some will no doubt question my need for writing what they will see as the 14th night of the life of Gerald Higgins, as me merely adding to the myth that this tale is created by its own means. But I say to them that this truly has been a work of fiction, and I am not concealing any truth. There is no such man as Gerald Higgins. You will not find, even if you search a gravestone or any diary or any medical notes, or any such statement of fact concerning this imaginary character and purely imaginary tale that takes man within the darkest depths of man's soul and the darkness.